Hey, what's up everybody? In this lesson, we are going to be talking about how to make high click-through rate thumbnails. So, thumbnails that entice people to click, and I have a ton of cool things that I'm going to show you in this lesson. So here is what we are going to be covering. First of all, how to enable custom thumbnails on your channel so you can actually put custom thumbnails on your desired videos. Then I'm going to show you some free softwares for both PC and Mac for making these thumbnails. And then I'm going to show you some of the best ways to format your thumbnails and the anatomy of a high click-through rate thumbnail. So hopefully you can use a lot of these tactics and then implement them into your own thumbnails on your own videos, which will increase your click-through rate and in turn increase your video's engagement and in turn increase the number of views that get on your videos. Now obviously I have to make a disclaimer that high click-through rate thumbnails are not the only factor of YouTube's success. Having a high click-through rate title is also a very big factor, as well as having high audience retention videos. So videos that keep viewers on the video as long as possible. That arguably is even more important than a high click-through rate thumbnails. Now that's not to say that high click-through rate thumbnails don't contribute to your video's performance at all, but something to keep in mind is that even if you have an extremely well-performing video, if people don't click it, they're not going to watch it and YouTube's not going to know that it's a great video. So it can be argued that having a high click-through rate thumbnail is actually very important. So first of all, I'm going to show you how to enable custom thumbnails on your YouTube channel if you haven't already. So the steps of doing this are to go to your YouTube Studio, and then you're going to want to navigate to your Creator Studio Classic, and then you're going to go to the channel section, and then you're going to click something called verify. Now, I'm going to walk you through exactly on my computer exactly how to do this. So I just made a brand new channel for the purpose of this example, and I'm going to show you exactly how to verify your YouTube channel so you can get custom thumbnails enabled. So the first thing you're going to want to do is navigate over to the top right corner of your channel, and you're going to want to click on your little icon right here in the top right corner. And then what you're going to want to do is click YouTube Studio Beta. So once you click that, it'll actually bring us to the beta version of the YouTube Studio, but we're going to want to then navigate to the Creator Studio Classic. And to do this, we go to the bottom left-hand corner, click Creator Studio Classic. You don't have to answer this survey if you don't want to, so we'll just click Skip. And then this will bring us to the Creator Studio Classic. And once we're in here, what we're going to want to do is click Channel. And once we click Channel, we will actually be brought to a page that looks like this, showing all the status and features of our YouTube channel. And this is actually the same page that we will enable monetization later down the line on our YouTube channels as well. But for the purpose of this example, I'm going to show you how to verify your YouTube channel so you can put custom thumbnails. But for the purpose of this example, I'm going to show you how to verify your YouTube channel so you can enable custom thumbnails. And to do this, you just click this little blue button right here that says verify. So before we enable custom thumbnails, we just want to check that custom thumbnails are not yet enabled, and to do that, you can look at this little block right here, and if it shows a little red line and it says not enabled, that means that custom thumbnails are not yet enabled on your channel. Now to enable custom thumbnails is very easy. You just click this little verify button right here, right under your YouTube name, so we click that, and then it will ask you to select your country, and then you can either choose to be called with an automated voice message or to be texted with a verification code. Now it's important to note that each number that you use to verify your YouTube channels can only be used a set number of times. Now I've found a few different ways of getting around this. For example, you can use a service called Google Voice to actually generate a number for you that you can use on here. I found that works really well. And there's also some online services as well, so if you're making multiple channels, this might become an issue, but it shouldn't be an issue right off the bat. You'll want to put in your phone number there, get called, and Google will give you a verification code. You verify your channel, and just like that, you have custom thumbnails enabled on your channel. So now we're going to talk about the anatomy of a high click-through rate thumbnails. High click-through rate thumbnails share certain features in common that we can look at and then incorporate those features in our own thumbnails to get a higher click-through rate. First of all, high click-through rate thumbnails usually have a large amount of human emotion. And now that I've pointed this out, you're going to notice this when you go on YouTube. You'll notice that a lot of videos on YouTube that have a lot of views incorporate an insane amount of human emotion, and they do it to a very exaggerated degree. So, For example, we have that image in the top right there with Ellen. See, it says, "Did she just expose me?" And she looks really concerned. And I just found this image just on the YouTube homepage. And this is a perfect example of using human emotion to draw people in to click your videos. And you can find this pretty much everywhere over YouTube. This is a great strategy for both list channels and personal brand channels. And if you're running a personal brand channel, you actually have control over the emotions that you make if you're choosing to show your face on YouTube, which you don't have to at all either. If you don't want to show your face on YouTube, that's totally fine. You can find clips of other people, like, as you can see right there, of Ellen. Obviously, Ellen didn't make that video. Find points in the video where they're showing a lot of human emotion and incorporate that in your thumbnails. Now, the next thing that a lot of high click-through rate thumbnails share in common is that they typically provoke a lot of curiosity. So if we look at that video on the right-hand side right there, as you guys can see, I think that was labeled like top 5 scariest clown encounters or something like that. It shows what appears to be a guy dressed in a clown outfit on the porch taken by a security camera. This makes people really intrigued because they're wondering why a guy would be standing in a clown outfit in the middle of the night on someone's porch. And if we look at some of the videos on the bottom right there, those are from a channel called Top 5's Finest. They're videos such as 5 megalodons caught on camera, or 5 of the biggest animals to have ever roamed the earth. And the video on the far left of the supposed megalodons caught on camera, it's simply a fin sticking out of the water. Now that provokes a ton of curiosity because you want to actually see the megalodon, and as you guys can see, that worked and it got 25 million views. It was one of their most viewed videos actually. Provoking curiosity is very key to having a high click-through rate thumbnail. Another thing that I found to perform very well is having red circles and arrows on your thumbnail. This typically increases the curiosity factor because sometimes the red arrows or circles are literally pointing to nothing important. So if we look at that thumbnail on the bottom right there, 21 million views, and it's a video titled 5 Forbidden Places on Earth We Dare You to Visit. There's an arrow pointing to the mountain, and you don't know why it's pointing to the mountain, and there's a red circle right at the base of the mountain, and that can entice viewers to click because they see that and they want to know what's on that island. They want to know why that red arrow is pointing to that island. And as you guys can see, a lot of these videos on this page have those red arrows and red circles. Now, if your thumbnail image is primarily red, a red circle or arrow won't show up the best, so you can play around with this, and I've found like yellow circles sometimes do good, even green sometimes performs good because that's one of the opposite colors of red. But these are some of the tactics that I recommend including in your thumbnails to increase the click-through rate on your videos. And we have to remember that the main point of this all is to make the viewer want to watch your video. So think about making thumbnails from a viewer's perspective. I know oftentimes it's really easy to just think about making thumbnails as a video creator, but you have to be in the viewer's shoes and think about what they would want to watch. Think about the audience that you're making these thumbnails for. What would they be enticed to click on? For example, for that thumbnail in the top right there, the audience for that channel, I think that was on some type of drama channels. They put text on the screen saying, "Did she just expose me?" This makes people who are interested in the drama niche want to click because they want to know, what did she get exposed for? And did she expose her? These are unanswered questions and they make the viewer really want to watch. And for that video on the bottom right there, 5 Forbidden Places on Earth We Dare You to Visit, that little "We Dare You to Visit" line in the title also really makes you want to watch, and I thought I'd point that out right there really quick. Because we know there's a certain percentage of people who will see a video like that, and when they see "We Dare You to Visit," they're like, what could be so bad that would deter me from visiting? And again, it goes back to that whole curiosity factor, and it makes people click the video. And obviously it's working extremely well, 21 million views. And I found all these tactics to work incredibly good across all of my own channels as well, and that is why I'm showing them with you guys. So now I'm going to show you some amazing free softwares for making thumbnails for your YouTube channels, and softwares that I actually use to make thumbnails for my own channels. The first software is a software called Paint.net, and this is a software that I think is only available for PC. So since I'm currently using a PC, Paint.net is what I use for making all of the thumbnails that I make. Now, I typically only make thumbnails for the Make Money Matt channel. However, I also recommend Paint.net for all of my thumbnail creators out there as well. However, a lot of them use Photoshop, and a lot of them use all these fancy softwares that cost a ton of money. but I want to share you guys free softwares that I actually use for making thumbnails for your YouTube videos. Now, another software is actually Pixlr. Now, I recommend Pixlr for a Mac, however, you can use it for both PC and Mac because it is an online-based software. Now, this is a software that I used when I started out on YouTube making thumbnails for my videos. Now, the reason I switched to Paint.net is because it's a little bit of a hassle to have an internet connection always to be able to use Pixlr. So Paint.net, it's with me everywhere I go. You don't need an internet connection because it's a downloadable program. But Pixlr is also a very great program for both PC and Mac because it is online based. And I'm going to include free download links for both of these softwares below this video so you guys can go check them out for yourself. And now I'm going to be showing you how to use each software for making thumbnails, starting with Paint.net. So here we are within Paint.net, the first software that I'm going to be showing you guys how to use, and this is what it will look like. This is the main interface of Paint.net. Now what we're going to want to do immediately when we open up Paint.net and it opens up a new file, what we're going to want to do is click Image in the top left, and then we're going to want to click Canvas Size. Now this allows us to change the size of the image, and we're going to want to input 1280 by 720, and that is because all YouTube thumbnails are 1280 by 720, and that is the standard size for YouTube thumbnails. I recommend making all of your thumbnails that size. And once you do that, then you're going to want to hit OK, and then it resizes the thumbnail in this shape. And now what I like to do when I'm editing thumbnails is actually zoom out so I can get an idea of what the thumbnail will look like on YouTube. Because obviously, when the thumbnail is on YouTube, it's not going to be this big. It's going to be much smaller for the vast majority of people who see it. The only people who might see it bigger are people who visit your channel page and you make it like a featured video. Then they might see the thumbnail a little bit bigger. But for the vast majority, 99.9% of the people, they're going to see a little thumbnail like this. I like to actually edit my thumbnails, do most of the editing with it zoomed out like this. Now, if I have to zoom in, I will, but I like to do it mostly zoomed out. So let's pretend we're making a thumbnail for a personal brand channel. And it's going to be for a video called How to Live to be 100 Years Old, okay? So I have a little stock image right here that I'm going to paste into it. Now, if you have an image on your computer, you can simply right-click it, copy, and then click paste, and you'll see this little icon in the top left. You just click that, and it will paste the image into Paint.net. There, this is the image. We'll just put an old person on here because this is a tutorial on how to live to be 100 years old. Then we can resize it just like this, and see, to make sure there's no white bars, this is something I might actually zoom in for. And then we'll put it like this. And this is a format that I found works well as well for personal brand channels. I'll be showing you it right here. As you guys can see, the stock image I chose includes a lot of human emotion. She's really happy in the picture, and that makes people want to click because they want to learn how they can live to be 100 years old, and they want to be happy when they are old, just like the person in this photograph. We paste the image in right there, and then what we can do is actually click off of it, and to do that, you click this little box right here, this rectangular selection box, and you click off. This will deselect that image. And then something I like to do is make the background black. And to do this, you just click this little fill box right here, and then you can fill in the background. As you can see, it overfilled it, so it filled some of the image there. So what I do then is go to this tolerance, and I decrease the tolerance to the point that it doesn't do that. So just to the point, so just right there, because I just wanted that little box right there to be black. Then what I want to do is add a new layer when I add text, because this makes it easier to move around the text if you have it in another layer. And to do this in Paint.net, it's super easy. You just click this little button in the bottom left here of this little layers window, and once you click that, it actually adds another layer. So once you've added this other layer, now we're going to add some text right here. So to add text, we just click this little box right here. It says add text, and then we'll want to make it white, and we'll want to make it bigger. So let's just say 72 for right now. And then we'll put in how to live to be 100 years old. There we go. So we got that in there right there. Now we'll want to maybe center it. So we hit that little center button up there. And then make it a little bit bigger. So maybe 96 will be a little bit too big. So let's try 77 maybe, maybe a little bit bigger. How about 82? That looks about perfect. So make sure the text is very readable and clear, so we might want to bold it to make it a little bit more readable. And then we can select off of it right there, And then what I like to do is make part of the text a different color. So I think red would look good for this. So how to live to be 100, then maybe we'll make 100 red. And then if we zoom out right here, we can see the title on the image that we just edited. And as you guys can see, it looks pretty good. I can see this thumbnail in YouTube, and it's pretty clickable. It says exactly what the video is about, how to live to be 100 years old. And it shows an image including a high amount of human emotion. Now, you don't have to add text on your images either. There's a lot of successful channels that don't even include text on their thumbnails, and most of my thumbnails don't include text either. Just the thumbnails for my personal brand channels include text. And obviously, if you wanted to include a red arrow, just for the purpose of this example, I don't think I would do this if this was an actual video I was making, but if you wanted to, you just click this little tool selection thing here, then you click arrow, and then I like to make sure the arrow's filled, so you just click that, make sure the shape's filled, and then you can create your arrow and design it for your specifications. You might put it just like that. That looks pretty good. And then if we zoom out, we can see what the thumbnail looks like. Same concept goes if we wanted to add a circle. We click shape, circle, make sure it's transparent, and then put the circle over. We might want to increase the brush width a little bit, so let's say maybe 20, and then something like that. So that is how I actually make thumbnails for my YouTube videos. And that's using a completely free software for PC that you guys can download. Highly recommend paint.net. I've been using it for the longest time for everything graphic design related. I don't even know how to use Photoshop, and I don't want to bother paying for it either. So paint.net, awesome free software that you guys can check out. Again, the download link will be right below this video to check it out. Alright guys, so now I'm going to be showing you how to use an image editor called Pixlr. Now this is the solely online based editor that I was talking to you guys about that you can use if you're on a Mac or a PC. It doesn't matter. This is the image editor that I started out with, and it works just fine. I just prefer paint.net now, but you can feel free to use Pixlr if you want. So if you go to pixlr.com/editor, again, I'll include a link below this video, you'll be brought to a page that looks like this, and be sure to enable Flash as well on this website for it to run correctly. So then what you're going to want to do is click Create New Image, and when you click that, you'll be prompted to give a name for your image, so whatever you want. Let's say we're making that How to Live to be 100 to be 100 video, and then they have some presets right here. And I don't know if they actually have 720. If we click that, yes, they do actually have a preset for YouTube thumbnails, and that is called Movie 720p. So if you select that preset, then you'll see it gives the automatic width of 1280 and the automatic height of 720. And then what we can do is just click OK, and that will create the image. So here is the image, and we can actually scroll, which changes the size of the image. So if we scroll out, then we can see a smaller version of the image like it will appear in YouTube. And if we scroll in, we can do some of the more intricate editing. So to actually add an image into Pixlr, you're going to want to, first of all, download the image onto your computer, and then go on over to this little toolbar in the top left and hover over Layer, click Layer, and then click Open Image as Layer. You can also alternatively open an image URL as a layer, and I think I'm going to actually do that. And if we click Open Image URL, then you'll be prompted to enter the URL of the image, and then we can simply paste the image URL right here, and then click OK. And this will actually import your selected image as a new layer. So to actually change the size of this image, we click the little move tool right here. As you guys can see, you can move the image around, but we're going to want to make it bigger. So to make it bigger, we go on up to Edit, and then we click Free Transform, and this actually allows us to change the size of the image. Now if we hold Shift, if you're using a PC, I'm not sure what it is on Mac, you can actually maintain the aspect ratio while changing the image. Otherwise, you can just free transform it if you're not holding Shift. So let's say we want to make it maybe about this size. Let's say something like this. Right there, looks good. And then let's say we want to, we'll just click yes, apply. And then let's say we want to cut out something. And to do that, we click this little marquee tool right here. And then let's say we want to cut out some of his hat right there. So we select it, click delete, and as you guys can see, it simply deletes it just like that. So now what we're going to want to do is add some text. So we go on over to the type tool on the left hand side here, and now we can type text. So I just typed How to Live to be 100 years old. We can center it. We can choose whatever font we want. Let's say Arial Black because it stands out pretty good. And then let's say we want to make it a little bit bigger, so maybe like that. And now we can actually move it by going back to the Move tool. And as you guys can see, we can move that around and move the text however we want it to be. That is how to use Pixlr. I personally recommend Paint.net a little bit more, but if you're using a Mac, Pixlr works just fine as well. And I've used it for many thumbnails on my videos, many of which have got millions of views each. So Pixlr is also a great image editor. I hope this tutorial helped you guys a ton in learning how to get high click-through rate thumbnails and learning how to actually make them, getting into the nitty-gritty and the details on how to actually make high click-through rate thumbnails with completely free softwares. Hope this helps you guys a ton, and I'll see you in the next lesson.